This is Psychic Bob. It is so good to be back with you. Well, here we are. It's Sunday, and some of you have been writing and said, Psychic Bob, what happened to Saturday night's seance? Well, yesterday Psychic Bob wasn't feeling well. I think I got out into the heat. I got a little overheated. I think I had a little bit of, I wouldn't say heat stroke, but definitely heat exhaustion. I was dehydrated and feeling really nauseous. So yesterday, Psychic Bob had to just lay down and chill out and cool down and drink a lot of water. So I wasn't feeling well and I didn't get to put out the videos. But not to worry, next Saturday we'll have our Saturday night seance. So today it's Sunday and I'm just trying to take it a little easy and not overdo things again. So today's video may be a little short, but I did want to let you know I'm with you and let you know what's going on. But as I was sitting here today, I was reading my calendar. I was putting together the horoscopes. By the way, if you haven't gotten your horoscope, pop over to my website at robert-hickman.com. I'll put the link below and get your free daily horoscopes. I do horoscopes there 7 days a week. So check out your horoscope for Sunday. I think you'll really enjoy it. We got some powerful transits going on. A lot of good energy. So definitely go over there, check it out, read about it, and find out what your horoscope is. Well, as I was saying, I was sitting here reading about horoscopes and I realized, oh my gosh, we're right upon a Sabbath. That's right, tomorrow is August 1st, and that's the Feast of Lammas. Lammas is an ancient pagan / Wiccan holiday. It's one of my favorites. I love it because it's the feast of the harvest. The first harvest comes in. And Lammas to me is just it's a wonderful time. It's a time where we start to be aware of the gifts of Mother Nature. Just to give you some kind of idea of where we are here. For those of you who've been following, or if you haven't been following, I'll kind of give you an update here. This is our wheel of the year. This is the Wiccan wheel. It starts way up at the top here. Actually, can't see it. I don't know if you can see it, but up there it says Yule. And we've been coming around, and our last holiday we had was back in June, which is right here at the bottom of our wheel, which was Litha. This was the summer solstice. The first half of the wheel is what's known as the light half of the year. That's when the Sun Lord's power grows, and he reaches his peak down here at the bottom half of the wheel. Now we're in the second half. This other half of the wheel is known as the dark half of the wheel. And right now, we're down here at Lammas, or some people call it Lunasad or Lunasa. I call it Lammas because Lammas is the ancient word for bread. And this is where we have our first harvest. This is where the grains of the field are gathered. And traditionally, people would have festivals and celebrations to celebrate the harvest. It's kind of like, all the neighbors would get together. They'd spent their day gathering the harvest, helping each other in their fields. And then come the evening, they'd have a big feast to celebrate their bounty. And, I think it's a wonderful time for us to stop and think about things that are blessings to our life. Think about our bounty, you see. So Lammas is a time. Now, at this time for the Lord's power, it's really a time where we start to see the Lord's aging. Our Sun Lord, is born at Yule. And as we get into Lammas, he's getting into middle age now. This is where the Lord's hair is starting to gray. He slows down maybe just a little. He's still greatly beloved of the goddess. But he matures, he ages. And Lammas is a time when we can think about our own lives. Like, where are we on our journey? Are we growing and maturing? Or are we staying stagnant? Are we going backwards? There's a lot of rich thought here at Lammas time, I'm in my middle age now. Hard to believe. I still feel like I'm 18, and I still act it half the time. But, as a middle-aged person, I'm in my 40s. Lammas is a time where I stop and I say, wow, the Lord, the creator of the universe, experiences this phase of my life. And so sometimes I think, what does the Lord do in his middle age? Well, at Lammas, he brings forth abundance and blessing. He lets his light illuminate people. And for those of you who are watching, who are maybe also in this phase of your life, be like the Sun Lord. Let's learn from him. I think we could all learn a little bit of the Sun Lord. The Sun Lord brings nurturing power. He brings illumination of the mind. He brings awareness of blessing. And so if we incorporate those qualities into our life at Lammas, then we're going to have a really good, Lammas time. And Lammas isn't just a day. Really, it's a period of our lives. As I said, it represents the middle years. And so for those of you who are in your 40s and a little older, you know what this is about. Some people get to the Lammas period in their lives and they've never done serious life reflection. And then suddenly at Lammas time in their life, they wake up and they said, oh my God, I'm aging. I'm halfway through my life. Wow, what's the second half going to look like? All of these things come up at Lammas time. We start to think about who we are, where we've come from, where we go. Sometimes we look back on the past, like this light half of the wheel. This could be our youth. And now we're entering into the darker half, which is our aging process. But aging and darkness don't necessarily mean evil. They mean going into places of wisdom. And so I encourage you at this Lammas time, think about your life. Think about the wisdom that you've accumulated. What have you learned? What do you still want to learn? Many of us, myself included, get to this middle age and we say, wow, if only we had known as much in our youth as we do now, we would have made better choices. But you see, when we have that recognition, then we can also say, I've got the second half to get it right. So what we didn't figure out or work out in the first half of our lives, Lammas reminds us we're in the new half and we can start a new path. Some of you have written me and you've said, Psychic Bob, I'm 45 or 50 years old. And I have this strange desire to go back to college and get my bachelor's degree. Am I crazy? No, you're not. Because you see, when you were young and in your 20s, you weren't able, for whatever reason, to go to school. But now at Lammas, that schooling is calling to you. So if you're somebody in that position, you're saying, am I too old to do this? No, you're never too old. What you want to meditate on is that this is the time of wisdom gathering. When you get into your later years and you're in your crone years, then you will be thankful for all that you've done in this period of life. So each period of life is a time of learning and growing. So Lammas is a wonderful time to take stock of where we've come from and yet where we want to go. So I encourage you now, this time at Lammas, as you're gathering the fruits, maybe some of you have a garden, maybe you want to gather fruits and the harvest and really have a harvest celebration. Or if you're like me, you're a city dweller, you can't necessarily have a garden, you can at least set up an altar to honor the blessings of life. And you can find that you use this time for thankfulness for all areas of your life beyond just food. So I thought you guys would like a little tour of my altar. So I'm going to bring you here. Come on along. Let's take a look at this. Here is my Sabbath altar. You'll notice that I did this altar in shades of predominantly green and gold. We're still early in the harvest season, and most of the world around us, at least where I live, is still predominantly green. I brought in the gold elements to represent the sun, which is now starting to wane, and we're getting just slights of tints of golden color on certain plants and leaves. But as you can see, the majority of the earth is still green now, and I reflect that in this altar. Many people put grains on their altar, such as wheat stalks or corn dollies. I don't have any wheat stalks near me. I wasn't able to get those. But another tradition is to put out garlic. So I hung this sprig of garlic, this garlic wrap here. And I've also got at the top here some beautiful red peppers that are done in the form of a pentagram. I think this looks very pagan. I got inspired by the garlic from a book that I read about the harvest, about Lammas. I'll show that to you in a little while. But as you can see, we've got our sun here. And as I said, our sun is just starting to wane. And it's interesting that the brass on these candlesticks, I polished it recently, but now it's starting to dull again. And I've decided just to let it dull down because it really is like the sun's power, which is just starting to wane, just a little less bright, a little less powerful. We got my beautiful incense here with the pentacle, and I've got a beautiful chalice here, which represents also the blessings of the Lord and the Lady. I've got a beautiful wood pentacle here. I just think that, wood tones, earth tones, these are the colors I associate with Lammas. I've got my wand here, which is a natural wand from the beach. And I've got my athame here as well, which is inlaid with mother of pearl. But the overall effect of my altar is one of simplicity, yet I think beauty. I've got my silver bell here as well. Isn't that pretty? I like to ring that to purify the space. But as you can see, we've got our garlic and our red peppers and our broom. And I set this altar right by my giant tapestry, which is the wheel of the year. So at the base of the tapestry sits this altar, and you can see behind it the wheel of the year. So this is my special Lammas altar. Now when you set up your altar, you can make it as simple or as complex as you like. You don't have to use my color scheme. This is just one that I like. Maybe Lammas has certain colors that you associate with it. For example, I have cranberry candles, and I love cranberry. I think of that as a harvest sort of color. And you might want to incorporate cranberry also into your altar. But this is just one way. But I would encourage you, whatever way you set up your Lammas altar, try to include in it some elements that represent the harvest. I know some people who bake bread and put it on their altar and have a Lammas loaf on their altar. And that's something I think I'm going to also incorporate in the coming days. There's a place near us that makes bread, and I think I'm going to buy a fresh baked bread and offer it on my altar for Lammas. So there you go. Well, guys, I've certainly enjoyed coming here today to share my Lammas altar with you, and I hope it's given you some inspiration and some ideas about this wonderful Sabbath. I wish I had put this out last week, because now I was thinking, gee, I hope you guys still have time to set up an altar. But as I say, be creative, go with it, run with the spare of the moment, and create something, okay? Maybe some of you already keep an altar and you change it regularly. And if you do, I'd love to hear about it. Tell me about your rotating altar. This is my Sabbath altar, and it changes every Sabbath. And that's the way I like it. And, maybe you have such an altar. If you don't, think about starting it. Make Lammas a time to start your ritual altar. I have a lot of altars in my home, but this is my one that follows the seasons and follows the Sabbath. So as we go through the summer, we're going to change it. Our next holiday coming is, hold on, let's see if I can show this to you. Here we are at Lammas. Our next festival is Mabon, which is the second harvest. So we'll talk more about that, and you'll see how the altar evolves as we go through the second half of the year. But I hope that, today has been of some help to you, and I hope you'll, have a blessed Sabbath. I hope you'll create an altar and find a way to really bring the wonder of this holiday, this sacred time into your lives. Well, guys, thanks for being here today. You rock. I love you. I hope you're going to like this, favorite, share it with your friends, subscribe, be part of our channel. If you want to join the Order of the Purple Cord, that's our Wiccan order, you can pop over to my website at robert-hickman.com. We have a link below, and you can read about the order and what we're about. You can also follow us on Facebook at Order of the Purple Cord. I'll put a link below for that too. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for being part of Spirit Channel. Hope you'll subscribe, be a regular here. Let's learn and grow together. And I wish each and every one of you a blessed and joyful Lammas. Blessed be.